Okay, we're gonna do a little helicycle flying today. It's a nice day, a little, 10-knot wind. Much better than yesterday. And we'll do some pedal turns up here to clear. Matter of fact, we'll just taxi. We'll act like an airplane today. Wind's at the tail, so it's a little tougher to control. But this is a pretty stable little helicopter. Okay, nobody to the left. Don't see anyone on downwind. Thing with a helicopter, you always want to know where your tail is. This one's rather short, so it's easy. Those lights there would do a lot of damage. I don't see anyone. We're on the proper frequency. Don't have any warning lights. The gauges are good. Albany Capcom Traffic Helicopter 68478 departing 27, and we'll be northbound on the pattern Auburn to Cal. Okay, pretty straightforward. We got enough power to fly. Coming into the wind, just lower the nose a little bit, especially when we go through ETL. Just keep the nose down. Accelerating. There's 65 mile an hour. We'll raise the nose. Airspeed's everything in a helicopter at this altitude. Engine quits. We want to have proper auto-rotative speed. So we're doing 70 mile an hour indicated right now. And now we're at 75 mile an hour. This is a nice climb speed. I just noticed that string is probably in the video. That's probably pretty annoying. That tells me how well I'm keeping the helicopter coordinated, which you'll see in a little bit that I'm not real good at that.
We're still about 4 miles offset on the downwind at 9,000 climbing. Got you fast too. You're right off my left wing. Looks like you're a little bit lower than me.
So we're about 300 foot right now. I generally fly at 300 to 400 foot unless we're overpopulated areas, then I'll go up to about 700, 100.
Middletown traffic fast, 3 minutes coming from Middletown, 1-2000 below.
And you're basically always looking for somewhere to land in a helicopter. Doesn't mean you have to be white-knuckled and crazy about it, but you should always be aware of your landing spots because the engine does quit. You pretty much just look between your feet, and that's about where you're going to be. And you always want to know where the wind is. Today the wind's out of the north-northwest. If you do have to auto-rotate, you want to make sure that, if possible, at all possible, you're into the wind.
Left downwind, 23 Kokomo.
Otherwise, you're going to get a pretty good run on and probably roll over. Alright. I'll turn over, show everyone this. This is the cruise auction park. Called Auburn Auction Park. They sell about 2,500 cars in one auction here. It's pretty neat. They do helicopter rides here. Really pretty cool. Alright, we're cruising along here. Going pretty slow today. We're just doing 80 mile an hour. Just enjoying, not in a hurry. Again, we're about 300 foot. And oil pressure is about 37 psi, oil temperature is 120, transmission temperature is about 135, and we're about 800 Fahrenheit on the turbine, EGT, which isn't that much. And the engine is turning 61,700 RPM, and we're at the top of the green on the rotor, and we're full of fuel. And we'll speed up to about 90 miles per hour here just to show you what that looks like. Have to pull a little collective to maintain altitude. Initially, anyway. There's 90, 95 mile an hour.
Everybody, what's up?
Perfectly stable.
Let's clock and I'll go ahead and climb to the north and the west.
And we'll push it up to 100.
Right, yeah, we're about 3.5 minutes out, so we're good.
There's 100 mile an hour. And we'll back it off to about 80. Okay, we're going to be over a populated area a little bit. I'm going to pull up just a little bit. At least get to 500 feet AGL. Area I'm going to pick, I always have a landing site available, but I don't like to push it. Fly over my house here.
Fulton County, 737 Echo Tango, we're approximately 2 miles.
Helps to have a little speed too, in an auto rotation, according to the manual anyway. I haven't autoed this thing yet, I should. You're going to lose about 10 to 15 mile an hour indicated initially. So I always like to at least keep 70 mile an hour for that reason. And we're going to fly over a golf course that my house sits on.
2 minutes, Middletown traffic, jumping away.
Mine straight ahead. First one you see there. Go right over the top. And we're getting a little low, climb just a little. Happens when you look at the ground instead of ahead. Pretty nice day to fly. And everywhere I've went so far, there's pretty much been somewhere to land. Been a tight 180 in a few places, but very doable. Know this area pretty well. General rule of thumb for me is you don't know the area well, climb. Altitude's your friend to figure it out. But then again, I'm not one of them that like to fly too high, because if you have a transmission start to lock up, you're on fire, something like that. I want to be close to the ground, so I like happy mediums. Oh, we're about 400 foot right now. This is a very smooth flying machine. I don't know how camera looks right now because it's mounted to the dash. It's probably shaking a little bit, but I think I could smooth it out a little more yet, but it's just so easy to fly. The governor does all the work.
3 miles out.
I'll fly over my buddy's house here. Yeah, I think he was home. Turn around and take a look.
Metal down traffic, jumpers away.
Again, I like to keep my speed up. Dropping a little altitude, but I'm holding 70 mile an hour. Might not look like it because I'm turning into the wind. And there he is. Alright, I have a little fun now. This is something I generally don't do, but it's no fun flying a helicopter unless you can do this once in a while. Again, I know this area pretty well. I know there's no power lines running across here, strings, farmers that are mad, etc. But it's part of the fun of flying a helicopter. Otherwise you fly airplanes. And make a right-hand turn here. And again, I don't like to fly over people's houses low, so we'll climb. Great way to ruin our sport is to upset other people. Some people don't like aviation. No sense in making them mad. Oh, there's a hawk. Don't want to hit him, don't want to hit that tower. There's one hawk, there's more hawks. This is where I used to live. Used to land here all the time when I had the Brantley. That was the field I landed in right there. I don't own it anymore, so I won't land there. Although my neighbor still does. He was there, but could be kids playing out there or something like that. Oh. In a nutshell, it's what it's like to fly a helicycle. Really nothing to it. People talk about how hard helicopters are to fly and how talented you gotta be, and I think people that do things like to brag about it. I'm just a very average pilot. Not hard, just requires a little more concentration. You gotta be a little more aware of your surroundings if you fly low like this. Gotta watch your engine parameters a little more. I mean, it talks to you. You start seeing a rise in EGT quickly, or transmission temperature, or fuel, or the fuel or oil pressure dropping off, or you know, it's you want to react quick.
Just tell our brothers.
You don't screw around. nothing gives you more freedom than a helicopter. And there's just, you know, especially since the regs are a little more generous with us. We can fly as low as we want. Just don't harm anybody, which, hey, I understand that. Biggest deal, stay away from the power lines.
I wondered if you had. Well, I just wanted to say hi, see how you're doing.
Oh, we'll get a little higher here.
Bye-bye.
And again, nowhere during this flight have I got below 65 mile an hour or so. A few areas, a few times when I was very low there like that, especially with the wind at my tail, that's a pretty dangerous position to be in. You gotta kind of prioritize your risk. You know, how much risk do you want to take to have fun? You know, I like fun as much as the next guy, but doing something stupid. Overall, this helicopter handles very well, though. There's just very little that could be improved other than the visibility out the front. It'd be nice if it burned a little more fuel just from a standpoint of how long you can fly. About an hour 10, hour 15 is about all you want to push it, although I'm about ready to get out of it by then anyway. So, here we are at 300 foot. Just having fun. The biggest comments I get from people on the ground, first they say, as long as you're not descending and making the rotor blades whap, 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 but if you're not descending, they say they never hear you coming, and when you go overhead, you sound like a jet flying. They don't even sound like a helicopter. And they said it's not obnoxious at all. I've flown my Baron a few times over people, and they don't like the sound of it too much. I've flown the Helicycle over, and they're like, "Oh man, that's a lot quieter than your airplane." So that's kind of nice. I mean, again, best way to ruin the sport is to upset people, and my old Brantley helicopter was a real joy to fly. I actually like flying it as much, if not more, than this. But dang, it was noisy. It was, it had like, maybe 12 inches of headers coming off the exhaust, and that's it. And it was painful to stand next to it. So I was very conscious when I flew it. Whereas this, you can sneak up on people. Oh, we're cruising along about 90 mile an hour here. And we're about 20, motor's been running about 22 minutes. Temperatures are good. Road RPM hasn't moved a smidge this whole time. And the engine's held in there at 61,700, just like it was put there. Some amazing, you know, an engine spinning 61,700 RPM, and the governor holds it within about 50 to 100 RPM all the time. Especially for a single-stage turbine, it's really quite remarkable that it can hold that kind of tolerance. A pond that's not very well maintained. Alright, coming back to the airport here, we'll do some approaches maybe. We're right-hand traffic at Auburn, so let's go this way and then enter midfield. Okay. Auburn, DeKalb County traffic, helicopter 68478. We're about a mile and a half to the northeast, and we're going to be making right-hand traffic, runway 27 Auburn. Trying to keep people happy at our local airport. Not a griping lately. People build by the airport, and then they gripe about it when the airport grows. So you can always make the argument, yeah, airport was here for you, and that, yeah, you're right, but they're right, they're still mad, and they might know people that have more power than you know. Plus, again, there's no sense in causing problems. Oh, there's midfield, we'll turn that way. I don't like turning here because of the trees, but it's only a short time. And there is a little valley down here. That'd be a fun auto. And Auburn DeKalb, 68478, turning down, right downwind, 27 Auburn. And I'm going to go beam the 1,000-foot marks or 500-foot marks. I can't remember what they are. We're only at 300 foot, so flying a little low in the pattern. Well, actually, I'm going to go a little further. We got this house over here to the right that I don't want to fly over that low. I think don't want to upset them. And Auburn DeKalb, 478, right base, 27 Auburn. Oh, we're lower a little collective here. Right now we're just holding 70 mile an hour, but what we're looking for is just like a fast walk. That's the pace we're shooting for. And that's what we want. Also establish a hover. Looks pretty good. No warning lights. Temps look good. We're already hovering, so all we got to do is lower the nose. A lot of people like to grab the collective, and that's poor pilotage in my opinion. I think if you got hover power, you got fly power. And again, you're just, why abuse the helicopter? They're putting more pressure on the transmissions, belts. Learned that from my Brantley instructor. first day after we hovered, and then he says if it'll hover, it'll fly. Always stuck with me. So again, we're climbing around about 70 mile an hour. With a helicopter, it's not definitely not a race to go anywhere. It's just more of a pleasant experience. As long as the engine runs anyway. Oh, we'll come around here. And for those of you that aren't helicopter pilots, I know you can't see it right now, but you know, that was a nice 20-degree bank turn or so. I'll do another one just to show you. Here's a normal turn. I am not pushing the stick at all. I'm leaning it to the left with a little bit of pressure. Same if I want to go right. I'm not really moving the stick. It's more of just a little bit of pressure. There's a little movement, but very little. Same if I want to go up, I pull back. It's just a lean back. And we go up. If I push it forward, we go back down. What we don't want to do in a helicopter is push hard forward. If we do, we can get into a low G or a 0 G or even a negative G situation, at which time the rotors can unload, and when they do, they spool down quickly, flex, hit the tail boom, they could lose their structural integrity. There's all sorts of things that can happen. So everything in a helicopter should be a gentle, easy movement. Whether it be the pedals, the stick, the collective. And one input in any one control makes a requirement that you have to move the other control, because there's a lot of dynamics happening in a helicopter. So if I pull a bunch of collective, the throttle needs to increase, and I'm going to need more left pedal to counteract the torque. Another hawk above me, please don't dive, thank you. That is my biggest fear in a helicopter, not losing an engine, not running into anything. That's stuff that I have trained for. But these birds like to fly at the altitudes I like to fly. And generally what you'll notice is, especially the hawks, they tend to dive at you when they hear you or see you, which I find interesting. Well, that's about 30 minutes. That'll be enough for a video. Thanks for riding along.